Hello! This girl knows all too well what it means to be not like the rest. She spent almost all of her childhood under house arrest because even her own father was ashamed of her, if he only knew what such treatment would lead to in the future. This story from the distant 1912 begins with a woman who discovers a body in the middle of a snowy field. It's a pregnant girl who stumbled and seemingly passed out. The stranger is urgently taken to the railway station, where her husband, Gustav, a local train station master, sees her in amazement. The wife is taken to the bedroom to give birth, while the restless husband is nervously pacing the kitchen. When the baby is born, the midwife and doctor can't believe their eyes. They're so stunned by the appearance of the little girl that they completely forgot about the serious bleeding of the patient and lose precious time. When they tend to the woman, she's no longer breathing. Gustav is beyond himself from grief. He's already forgotten about the child. When they finally show him his daughter, he steps back in horror. The man angrily says that this is not his child, but some kind of lynx, and snaps at the midwife who tried to reason with him. A little later, the doctor comes into his office and offers to let the midwife care for the baby until he deals with the practical side of things. Gustav agrees to that. It's the day of the funeral, which the local priest plans to use for christening as well. He asks Gustav what he will name the girl, but he hasn't yet chosen a name. The priest suggests the name Ruth, in honor of the deceased mother, but Gustav is strongly against it. Then they decide to name the baby Eva.
Men dersom vitenskapen har rett, så var vår stammor for tusener av år siden ikke ulik dette barnet her.
Several weeks pass. The baby hasn't been changed at all. She's still covered with hair like on her birthday. However, the midwife can't take care of Eva forever, so the doctor insistently asks Gustav to take his daughter to him. The doctor suggests hiring a young nanny who recently lost a baby and found herself in a difficult situation. Now, not only little Eva lives in Gustav's house, but also her nanny, Hannah. At first, of course, she's shocked by the way the girl looks, but she doesn't show it. The nanny gets so used to the baby's hair that at some point, she goes out to meet a random guest right with the baby in her arms. The man is mortally frightened. He leaves in a hurry and then tells about what he saw to another resident of the city. He turns out to be a journalist who immediately reveals the secret of Gustav's family. Now Gustav can't hide from the curious glances of the locals, but he doesn't want to aggravate the situation, so he strictly forbids the nanny to open the door, come with Eva to the train station, and walk with a child near the windows. After a while, Gustav receives a letter from the Metropolitan Medical Board. In the letter, the doctor suggests that Eva has a unique and very rare disorder. The doctors want to pay Gustav a personal visit, and he's very excited. What if the doctors can finally cure his daughter? The expert who examines Eva is ecstatic and says he's never seen anything like it. But Gustav doesn't share the doctor's enthusiasm. He's only interested in whether it's possible to get rid of the hair. He's frustrated to hear that there's no way to do this. And most importantly, it's pointless to shave the hair. It will simply turn into stiff bristles. 7 years pass. Eva could have gone to school by now, but she's still stuck at home. One of her few hobbies is to stealthily look out the window at what's happening on the platform and look at a photo of her dead mother. If she's careless, the father locks her in a closet so that no one will see her. It's Christmas Eve. Hannah and Eva are decorating the Christmas tree, and the nanny tells the girl how in her childhood, all the guys loved the Christmas tree party, the ceremony where they say goodbye to the Christmas tree. The father doesn't support all of these enthusiastic conversations. Obviously, he's afraid that his daughter will become interested in the outside world and escape her house arrest. Gustav and Eva are having a Christmas dinner together. The daughter begins to ask Dad about the Christmas tree party and begs him to go there, but the father reminds the child that people like her can't go there, and people can be incredibly cruel. Before going to bed, he carelessly tells her about the way her mother thought of her, and Eva gets even more frustrated. Realizing that his daughter's very depressed and he needs to do something about it, Gustav decides to buy her a beautiful holiday outfit and take her to a children's party. When an unusual guest appears on the threshold, everyone groans and scatters, but the children seem to be only happy about such a special new friend.
Det varmt? Det var det jeg trodde.
Eva watches the magic show together with the other kids. For the first time in her life, she's happy and laughing. But when the magician goes into the hall to talk with the kids, and it's Eva's turn, there's an embarrassing situation. The magician teases her, calling her an animal. The kids pick it up and start laughing. The girl throws props at the artist. He falls and Gustav immediately takes her home. Eva has no reason to be happy now. All day long she is sad, passing the time writing a diary, studying and doing all sorts of other nonsense like setting out cards on the table. One day, she once again finds her father drawing a train and asks if he'll draw her. He promises to do it next time. Eva has a friend, a young employee of the station, whom she affectionately calls Sparky. The guy teaches the girl Morse code, but they constantly have to hide from Gustav so that he doesn't suspect anything. Gustav is also hiding from his family, occasionally counting some mysterious piles of money in his station office. Soon, Eva tells her father that she wants to become a telegraph operator. He notices that she's tapping Morse code on the table and immediately realizes that the nanny took her daughter to work behind his back. Hannah angrily replies to Gustav that the girl can't be alone all the time, which only angers Gustav more. Frustrated to the core, Hannah goes to her room and packs her stuff. In the evening, Eva notices that the nanny hasn't returned home and pesters her father with questions. He pretends not to know anything and gets annoyed with his daughter. Then she waits until her father falls asleep, takes out his shaving accessories and begins to remove the hair from her arm. The girl believes that she will become normal and will be able to find the nanny in the city. The father stops Eva and yells at her. However, the next day, he gives up his pride and asks Hannah to return to their family, assuring her that he's ready to agree to any of her demands. Turns out that Hannah's demand is to give Eva the telegraph she wanted so badly. The girl can't believe her luck. She immediately tests the line to Sparky and begins to talk with him every day using Morse code. But Hannah's efforts don't stop there. Despite Gustav's objections, she gets Eva into the school. The girl goes to school, but the children don't seem to be happy with the new girl. At home, Eva lies that the school was okay. For the next 7 years, her life is eternal bullying, ridicule, and telling lies to her dad. At some point, she can't stand it anymore and starts skipping classes. The teachers tell her father about this, who demands that his daughter explain her behavior. She only angrily replies to her dad that the problem may not be with her, but with the teachers. But oddly enough, Gustav is in no hurry to quarrel with his daughter because of her insolence and skipping class. He tells her that the doctors have a conference in Copenhagen, where they will discuss her case and they can go from there. At first, everything goes quite well. Seems like Eva's father's no longer ashamed of her. He tells her stories from his youth, invites her to eat in the dining car, and ignores the curious looks of other passengers. When they get to Copenhagen, they check into a chic hotel and look forward to changes. But their happiness doesn't last long. Soon Gustav brings his daughter to the conference and leaves her to spend the night in the hospital. Eva can't sleep and wanders the corridors. There, she meets Andre, a guy with extravagant manners and an unusual skin disease. He invites her to drink and chat and begins to talk about a circus troupe. He says that everyone there is as unusual as Eva. Midgets, Siamese twins, giants, and lizard people like himself. The troupe is known throughout Europe for its performances. Andre says that Eva should think about joining them, because in the ordinary world, a girl like her will never find a husband and friends. The conference finally starts the next day. Eva's put in front of a whole crowd of scientists completely naked, and after the doctor's introductory remarks, the participants began to examine her from all sides, without much ceremony. The girl feels ill and faints. Gustav feels that something is wrong, and despite the doctor's cautions, he takes Eva home. She arrives at the station completely downtrodden and plunges into a deep depression, as all her hopes are now ruined. Eva skips classes again. On one of those days, a boy joins her and offers her coffee and asks her why she doesn't swim. The girl says that the water's too cold, but the guy grins and immediately jumps into the lake. Eva follows him, although it soon turns out that she can't swim. Afterwards, they sit on the pier and dry off, chatting amicably. Meanwhile, Gustav tells Sparky that inspectors will be checking the station because some money went missing. He asks him to settle the matter amicably and does not go to court. This means that Sparky will need to quit his job. The guy can't believe it. He knows perfectly well that Gustav took the money, but says nothing. In the end, Sparky's only trying to reason with the old man and says that Eva needs to go to the capital to study her favorite subject, math. But Gustav replies that he has no money to pay for this, and no one will teach her anyway. Eva's at the lake again with her new friend. She tells him something about math, but the guy doesn't seem to be excited about that. He suddenly becomes intimate with Eva. He strokes her fur and tells the girl that she's beautiful. Eva's frightened by this intimacy and runs away. The family doctor tells Gustav that his health has deteriorated and gives him and Eva a ticket to a health resort. There, the girl meets an adult woman, whose name is also Eva. At first, the girl is shy near her, because the woman looks impeccably beautiful. But the adult Eva tells her that for the sake of beauty and youth, she has to spend a bunch of time on stupid things like nail therapy. But in fact, the true beauty of a person lies not in the way they look, as she used to think. The girl returns to her hometown and goes to the lake straight away. There, she witnesses a disheartening scene, which confirms the doubts already sown in her soul. Frustrated, Eva runs to the station to see Sparky, but he isn't at his desk. On the platform, she sees that her friend is leaving. The girl hurries to her father to stop him, but he declares in a commanding tone that his decision is final, and Sparky himself pleaded guilty. Gustav and Eva have an argument. The daughter's mad at her father as never before. He's taken away her only friend and disregarded her feelings about it. She runs after the train, but she's helpless to change anything. Sparky disappears from her life forever. After some time, Eva sees that the troupe has arrived in the city, the one the lizard man told her about in Copenhagen. On her birthday, she asks her dad to take her to the show, without telling him what kind of performance they're about to see. The father's shocked by what he saw on stage, and when someone from the audience sees a dark-skinned, hairy woman and exclaims, "We've got one of those ourselves!" he can't stand it and leaves the circus. The next morning, Gustav has an unexpected visitor. The director of the troupe comes to his house and asks him to let Eva go on tour with the artists. This way, she can see many countries and become rich. But the girl's father is outraged by such a proposal. He kicks out the visitor, but doesn't yet know that Eva overheard the conversation.
What do you think her dear departed mother would say? Or what people around here would say if I agreed to such a thing?
When her father leaves for work, Eva looks at him from the window for one last time, and then heads to the director of the troupe. He's unspeakably glad that she came. He introduces the newcomer to the other unusual circus performers, and Eva finally feels at home. Meanwhile, Hannah finds a note from the girl at home and rushes to stop her, but it's too late. Several years pass. All this time, Eva successfully performs in a traveling circus and travels to different European cities. She's loved by the public, and colleagues treat her with warmth and respect. But all of this is not what she really dreams of. The girl carefully saves everything she earns from performances in the box, and in her free time, keeps studying math. And when she decides she has enough money, she leaves the troupe. 5 years later, she's already teaching at the Paris-Sorbonne University. Eva's lectures are attended by hundreds of people who applaud her findings and research. She's a completely different person now, confident, strong, and not even afraid to joke about her looks. After another successful lecture, she's surrounded by her colleagues when suddenly the messenger hands her a note. For the first time in many years, Eva returns home. There's no one there. She meets only Hannah, who doesn't even recognize her right away. Together, they go to the funeral of Eva's father. And after that, the former nanny offers the girl to take some personal and family belongings, but Eva refuses. When she's standing on the platform about to board a train, Hannah gives her a folder that her father really wanted her to have. The girl opens the gift, already in the train, and can't hold back her tears. There are many drawings of her there, and even the one which was never destined to come true. A beloved daughter in the arms of her mother, who never saw her. Some think that's a story with a pretty clear message, but many believe that the story of Eva is kind of a metaphor for the rejection of people who stand out from the rest, not only because of the hair on their bodies. What's your take on the story? Share in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to learn about more exciting stories.